Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. I'm Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined by the VP, and only the VP. 2/3 of the Castworthy podcast. The third is probably somewhere drunken in a alley somewhere potentially.
Just coming off a
Uh,
bender.
it's coming off a bender. Long holiday weekend. I'm sure it started Wednesday night. Um, but it is cyber weekend, right? Cyber Sunday of the weekend. Seems like
Yeah.
these like Black Fridays turned into like the whole month now. Like we
Yeah.
started to see it go to just first it was Cyber Monday, then they were like, oh, for the weekend, and Small Business Saturday. Now it just seems like companies are like, fuck it, Christmas time is coming. Let's
Yeah.
see what money we can get.
It's like they're like nobody else should be able to get anything. So, I mean, even like to your point, it started off like Black Friday used to actually be on Friday, you know, and
Hmm.
now, that midnight, then, oh, we starting the sales at 7. It's like
Hmm.
fuck your family. You know what I mean? You need
Pre
the flat
Black
screen
Friday.
TV.
Yeah.
What's more important, time with your family or a flat screen TV? Like, think
Right.
about it.
You can always eat turkey. Family
So,
gonna be there tomorrow. Now they,
right.
it's crazy because they don't even do, and maybe they do, but I didn't see any like articles or anything for like the in store stuff. It's almost like they don't give a shit about brick and mortar anymore. Like, remember, it used to be like if you go online, you might find a T like a 50-inch for 350, but if you go into the store, you might get it for 199. I didn't see
Hmm.
any of those like those color ads or nothing like that.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where like maybe stores were trying to get online, and
Hmm.
then COVID just like accelerated it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then so it was like, well, shit, we did it during COVID, so let's keep it rolling. You
yeah,
don't got to, and
yeah.
then you save yourself the if you're like Walmart, right? You save yourself the embarrassment of going viral of people getting trampled trying to enter the store. You know,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah, like I went to Home Depot Friday and went to the at home store, and it was similar, same type of thing. Like there was a bunch of people on at Home Depot, like a lot. I
uh,
mean, obviously you can't really like if you got a planned project or some shit, you're not gonna wait for the wood or whatever you're ordering to come in. But it
right.
seemed like a lot of people was out just trying to find shit for to start prepping for Christmas decorating and shit like that. But not like years past where Black Friday it's usually a freaking zoo and you can't even fucking move. So um kind of good to see that, I guess. People kind of, well, and add to it that prices are super high. People are predicting next few months to be a real tough few months for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that, and slow weekend. So sorry though. Sorry, I got some stuff that and it used to be like where you could find almost anything you're looking for on sale. There's a bunch of stuff that I was targeting specifically and just couldn't find it. Not
Yeah.
on sale anywhere, at least. Like I want one of them Bluetooth. I want a Bluetooth bathroom fan, like for when I'm taking a shower. I could turn on the music. I don't have to carry a speaker in there and shit.
Got you. Got you.
Couldn't find it on sale nowhere. Like just little dumb shit like that you would think
Hmm.
that you might see like 12%, 15% off type shit. Nothing. The fucking lights that go in on the back porch, like on you know what I mean? Like looking
Hmm.
for replacements of those. Nothing at Home Depot, nothing. So um they just targeting dumb shit on sale. Electronics mostly because the shit ages so quickly.
Yeah.
You know. But but yeah, man, anything festive take place for you this weekend?
Nothing much, man. We just small family get together, had some food. I watched the I can't remember the first game. I think it was the New England games. No, New England was the night game. Whichever
Detroit.
one was I watched the Detroit game. I was watching the Dallas game, but then like by the time we got to like halftime, that's when everybody showed up and like, all
Hmm.
right, man, we don't want to watch football. So so I couldn't monopolize the TV anymore. So we started watching some movies and shit.
Not
But
in my house.
yeah,
Not on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys play every year.
yeah,
It's a thing.
yep. So, but other than that, man, it was, just some food, family, some laughs. It was I told we talked offline. My wife was in the hospital, so she got out of the hospital on Monday. So it was good that she was home. We could have Thanksgiving together.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
Good.
that was kind of the most important thing for me. But yeah, it was still good, man. Small but still good.
Good, good. I'm glad Aaron got home. Got to spend some time with you guys, get some stuffing. And
We actually had stuff in this year.
you should have stuffing every year. I mean,
my my sister-in-law cooked, and she doesn't know how to make dressing, so she just did some stuffing. So,
well, why wouldn't you just buy dressing?
well, I mean, you probably could, but I mean, it's just probably not good. I mean,
Listen,
you
if
you could buy clam chowder, right? I've never heard people say, "Yo, that Campbell's clam chowder," or
see, that's what you get.
clam
That's what you get for
chowder.
talking shit.
I don't see people writing home about it. Like, I don't know what my mom was thinking. This is it right
Listen,
here. Like,
if there's no stuffing, it's not Thanksgiving. And that's just the way it goes. If you call it dressing, then you're just a bumbling Southern idiot.
yeah. I actually saw a video of a guy who
That's not nice. I take that back.
he did his was like dressing, but it had some of the stuff missing or whatever. But essentially, what he did was he like smoked some turkey legs. It was a
Mhm.
like one of those like videos on like cooking videos on Instagram. He like smoked some turkey legs in the smoker, and then he shredded the meat, and then he mixed it in with like stuffing and like some of the other fixings or whatever, and then made that, and then he essentially took it and like mashed it around the turkey bone to kind of look like a turkey leg again, and
Mhm.
then put it back in the oven and let that go. And then when you like ate it, basically it was like you was eating like a turkey leg stuffing that had actual turkey meat in it and shit. Like they look pretty good, but I
Got
thought it
you.
was interesting.
Got you. Got you. So the difference between stuffing and dressing is that stuffing. Let me dressing is not put into the turkey, right? That's the major difference.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
And you
dressing is
guys
like its
use
own dish.
you guys use for dressing. You use cornmeal or some shit.
Cornbread. You use stuffing to make dressing. So it has a stuffing base. So you take some stuffing, and for me, I like when I make mine, I actually get two different types, so that way you have like to kind of stack the flavors. So I usually get like a seven herb and then like a different flavor. Throw that in there, and
You mean
then
you
you take.
use stovetop to make that stuff?
No, I don't use stovetop. I use like because stovetop is too small. It doesn't come with enough because we usually make a big pan of it. So I usually
But
get
you
one
use
that
like a
comes.
boxed version, something boxed or bagged,
Yeah, like
pre-made.
a
It's
bag
not.
pre-made
It's
stuffing.
it's
So you
not from
take that,
scratch. It's not like pulling the bread apart and
right?
like
So you
okay.
you you take that, and then you take some cornbread. You like make you have to actually make the cornbread, and then once you make it, you mash it up to turn it into like a powder, almost not a powder,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. And you throw that in there, and then you throw in like your meats and shit like that. And then we usually put like celery. Some people do carrots. We don't usually do carrots, but you can. Bell peppers, all that stuff like that. Put in some of your wet ingredients, mix it all together, throw it in the oven, and then boom, dressing.
Oh, so you make stuffing. You make stuffing and call it something different. All right. I got you. I got you. Um yeah, man. Simple Thanksgiving. The norm, football, wake up, watch the parade. Did you get any eyes on the Macy's Day
I haven't
Thanksgiving Day
watched that
parade?
in years. I used to watch it all the time, and then I don't know, like I just this is one of those things that I kind of just fell off on.
Yeah, I watch it. I mean, obviously, being from that area,
Yeah.
seeing it, and that's like the kickoff to Christmas season for a lot of people. When you see that, and you start to see, then you see Santa come, and like this year, they had Mariah Carey was singing, and
Mhm.
you see all the floats and all the balloons, and that's like the good feeling, that Christmas is right around the way. So you see everyone in their nice Thanksgiving outfits with their trench coats or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's pea coats. That's
No, no Al Roker this year though.
no Al Roker. I don't know why.
He's
Not sh-
recovering from cancer.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
He says the first one he's missed in like almost 30 years.
shit. Yeah, man. The passing of the torch, I guess you would kind of
Hmm.
call it. Maybe he'll be back next year. Hopefully
Yeah,
so, but
it's crazy. Like you mentioned, they had Mariah Carey there. I saw a thing on my Twitter the other day, and it said, they every year they play her song "All I Want for Christmas,"
Mhm,
and it was like it said that one song. They said she makes about $2.5 million a year off of just that song being
mhm.
played like all over TV, the radio, movies, and shit like that. And they said since it's released in whatever year it dropped, she's made like $72 million just off that one track. Like
Mm.
not album, not like just that one track. I said,
Struck gold.
God damn.
Some people in life get lucky, like her, Michael Buffer with the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" shit. Like
Yeah.
there's just wild shit that people just patent, and just residuals forever.
Hmm.
Family, like her family, they'll always be good as long as that
Yeah.
song is around, which it will be around forever. Like that's one thing that'll be cemented in life.
Yep.
Is death, and Mariah Carey. All I want for Christmas is you. Those are the two things that are gonna happen, um, for sure. But but yeah, man, uneventful. Watched a little bit of the parade. That's always a good feeling on Thursday morning when I wake up, and then some football. Cowboys beat up on the Giants. I'm sure we'll get into sports a little bit later, but did you see? So we ended last pod, and we talked about leaving people to fuck alone. We
Hmm.
talked about the college football kids, the three college football kids in Virginia that got killed, um, by the one ex football player,
Hmm.
and his father went online and said, he was being bullied, and that's why it was done, right? Well, there was another shooting, a mass shooting, in, was it Virginia?
Yeah. Chesapeake, Virginia.
Chesapeake Bay, Virginia, and it was at a Walmart. And similarly, right, this guy, now there's a lot more to it with this guy, but he seemed like he was mentally ill, mentally challenged, and but to this, right, when you read, he left a letter, and the theme of it is just leave people the fuck alone, man. Stop bullying people, stop making fun of people, because you never know, man. Shout
Hmm.
out to, or rest in peace to those people that were, victims, ended up getting shot or killed, or both, right, in that but he basically, and I know for you this is a touchy spot, right? Religion being dangerous, but the gist of it: sorry, God, I fail you. This was not your fault, but my own. I failed to listen to the groans of the Holy Spirit. We'll skip to the second paragraph. I can't say that they were the only ones that lacked intelligence and wisdom. I was just as guilty and failed my management team and everyone, convincing me that I was normal. Then there's a name that's blacked out, and the associates orchestrated it. They laughed and made subtle code speeches, which I eventually figured out. I thought blank was my friend, but he betrayed me. Betrayal is one of the worst feelings next to regret. They laughed at me, said that I was like Jeffrey Dahmer. I would never have killed anyone that entered my home. A few months back, I had overheard blank talking to blank, and he told me that he had blank from maintenance. So these are the names of the people that he ended up
Yeah.
shooting. Wasn't emanating with the Holy Spirit, which I could feel. People would thought that she was crazy for walking out, but unlike me, she actually listened to the Holy Spirit, like blank and blank. So the letter just kind of goes on and on and on, and and this is the thing, man. People out there, people are just trying to live their lives. People, there's people are different. People are different, and this world, things like this are going to continue to happen, and it doesn't matter whether we say there's a gun problem, it doesn't matter whether we say there's a mental health problem or anything like that. But you have got to let people live, man. Stop, because you just never know. You're putting yourself at harm's way when you're making fun of somebody, you're making fun of people, because you never know when someone's going to hit that fucking breaking point. Just
Yeah.
leave people the fuck alone, man. Like, and hindsight is always 2020, right? Fucking 40 years old now, but 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, I might have been part of these people that make fun of people and shit. But as you get older and you grow, like, these are adults. Like, you see some of the people that got killed, these are adults that got, these aren't like teenage kids that were out there making fun of somebody. You're an adult.
Hmm.
You're 25, 30, 40, 35 years old, and you're fucking sneaking behind people's backs and cackling and shit like that. Listen, man, I'm not saying nobody deserves a clearly, but there's consequences to your actions. There's a reaction to every action, and I say that to say again, like we ended last pod, leave people alone, man. Stop bothering people. You don't know what someone's going through.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely hear you, man. When I worked in the office, man, we had this guy, let's just call him Tom. You know, like he seemed like, one of those guys, like, yo, if something pop off, it probably was Tom, you know,
Hmm.
and like I never mess with him. Like I see him, like people used to make fun of him, laugh and shit. When I see him, I say good morning to him. Hey, how you doing? He never spoke to me, never said anything back. He like you was like say good morning to him, and he would just look at you like, you
Blank
know,
stare.
yeah, like just total blank stare. And so I was like, hopefully them good mornings are enough. If it pops off,
Right.
hopefully it ain't me. He's like, that's the dude who always says good morning to me. So you know,
Yeah. I try to do the
'Cause,
same, man. I try to be likable to everybody for that
yeah,
reason.
yeah,
For that reason, we live in an age now where everything is so accessible. Guns are so accessible. You know, assault rifles are accessible. Unfortunately, the way I always look at it, I look at it when I talk about flying and stuff like that. When people are like, "Why are you afraid of flying?" Everyone cuts corners at their job, including security, right? So, security to the buildings are always going to be there. But listen, if I'm security and I see somebody coming and they look like, they got bad intentions, I'm not security no more. Now it's
right.
me, living my, fending for myself. So I try to make myself, likable for that reason to anybody. It doesn't have to just be the weirdo, that walks by and they smell like their clothes are in the dryer for weeks at a time. Like it's not just those people, it's everybody, for
Hmm.
that reason, because the day comes, just listen, go past my office. keep
Yeah,
keep going past my office, man. You just
yeah,
hope that it's gonna, and just because it's human, man. We're all humans, we all deserve to be to be comfortable and treated like humans, regardless of what you know shortcomings we have, whether it be physical shortcomings, whether it be money, whether whatever it is.
hmm,
And again, people have breaking points, man, and you don't want to be on the other side of it at some point.
yeah, man. Like when I still worked in the office, man, we had it wasn't even an employee. We had one of our female employees. Like it was basically like a domestic violence situation. Like the boyfriend or husband, whatever he was, showed up, and they got into it, and then the dude left, and they called the cops or whatever. But he was already gone by then. And then like when it was like end of the day, I'm thinking like, man, like this dude gonna be outside. I feel bad for whatever she's going through, but then I'm also thinking about like, you know, is this shit gonna be like a situation? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So because you just never know, man.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace to those people in Chesapeake, Virginia. And unfortunately, I don't know if he ended up getting killed. I remember they said that he was being treated after the original, but I don't know if he actually died in that one. But yeah, but then again, yeah, to your point, right? Religion is it's a dangerous sport, man. It's a dangerous sport, especially for people that can't take and process and understand what it is. You know, a lot of people can. A lot of people can just say, "Hey, this is a way for to get my morals in check. This is a way for me to kind of just live my life." Others, they really have that feeling that they are a messenger from God and they have to take action, and and then you see stuff like this, right? And it's dangerous, man.
Nah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you have some people who say, my religion sustains me. It helps me get through the day. When the chips are down, that kind of thing like that. And I'm cool with that. I'm not religious at all or whatever. But that if it helps you get through the day, get through a tough time, maybe you got a family member who's struggling, with health or something like that, and those kind of things, kind of help boost you up, to get through it. More power to you. You know what I mean? But it's those people, like you said, who feel like, their God is speaking through them and telling them to take actions against people because they're, not living the right way, quote unquote. It's those kind of people that make me always say religion is dangerous because those people aren't using it to say it just sustains my life and things like that. They're using it to say this is what it does for me, and also this is what it should be doing for you, and because you're not letting it, I need to take some kind of action to make that happen.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm the angel. I'm an
Mhm.
angel that's been sent to correct this. So, but yeah, it's a dangerous sport, just like politics, like a lot of other stuff, man. End of the day, you just hope that anyone who consumes this kind of stuff, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, can be responsible with it, because you see people even in the political space doing the same type of thing. You got shit, we heard this week that Kanye went and met with Trump, and apparently Trump is tired of Kanye too. Kanye comes down and says Trump was basically sunning him, telling him, hey, you're not you have no chance at winning, blah 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 blah, which obviously we know that's true. Kanye puts it all over the news. Trump comes out, puts a post out this morning basically saying this guy is a troubled individual. I try to help him and tell him he's got no choice, or no chance, so he doesn't embarrass himself, blah, 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 blah. Basically, again, he's tired of Kanye as well.
So it's I definitely hear what you're saying, but it's actually a little bit deeper than that, and you kind of missed the main point. I'm not even sure if you saw it or whatever. The big controversy about this whole Kanye Trump thing is that Trump had dinner with Kanye and a third guest, which was this guy named Nick Fuentes.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fuentes is basically a neo-Nazi, anti-Semite, Holocaust denier. Like, I mean, I don't even mean like, he's kind of speaking in code to where you're like, is this dude anti-Semitic? Is he racist? I mean, I don't know. I can see how you could look at it that like he's unabashedly like racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is who Kanye went to dinner with Trump or whatever. So when that got found out, that's why Trump is distancing himself from this Kanye thing. He's basically making it seem like he invited Kanye to dinner and Kanye just showed up
Propped up. Yeah.
with Nick Fuentes. You
And
know what I
two
mean?
other people or some shit. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, dude, like you have Secret Service protection. Like they don't just let people show up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be on the list. And if you're not, okay, yeah, I mean, sure, the car could have showed up with other people, but it's not that they're gonna be like, oh, hey, it's Kanye and three other guys. Yeah, just let him through. It's Kanye. Hey, come on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that shit
He's
don't
got
work
good
like
intentions.
that
Yeah.
shit don't work like that. You know what I mean? Like even like when you live in the same neighborhood as somebody, like when because Obama still has his house in Chicago, even though he doesn't live there, I know his neighbors are probably like, what the fuck? Well, I don't know. They might like it because I'm pretty sure it's one of the safest neighborhoods in the country. But
Yeah.
they had that shit like cordoned off. Like you gotta like show ID to show you actually live in. You gotta be on the list to get in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's almost like a gated community now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So they're not just letting this dude show up with some guy, some random, you know. So so once that part came out, now Trump is trying to distance himself from him because he sees like, oh, this shit might be bad. Like this dude, I didn't know he was coming. He came with another guest. I have no idea who this guy is. You know, so
I saw a a post online that basically said Kanye potentially trying to run for 2024 is going to shake up and it's going to cause concern for the anti-Semitic vote between Kanye, DeSantis, and Trump, and they're going to be concerned about it.
Well, I don't
Think that's accurate.
know because I mean, if you're anti-Semitic, you're not fucking with Kanye either. They don't just like not like Jews. You know what I'm saying? so, so I don't think it's going to be a problem there for him. You know, the question would be, you know, is it between Trump and DeSantis for those
Yeah,
type of folks? You know, but yeah, I mean, you know, Kanye running for president is just another. It's
it's
a
a
gimmick.
joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know. But Pete, the problem is that it gets taken seriously because our media takes it seriously, and you know they put it out there to like make fun of it. But then it's like you have some people say, "Well, shit, I'll vote for Kanye." I mean, so and so is fucked up. So I mean, who knows? Maybe Kanye can figure something out. You know, because you know, and it goes to this whole
Kanye's not going to send no all that money
right to Ukraine or something like
to
that.
Ukraine. Yeah,
And it goes to people. I always talk about this about that guy who wrote that book called The Depth of Expertise, where everybody thinks that, you know, oh, you know, this armchair quarterbacking and you should be doing this, they should have done that or whatever. And it's like these things, you know, take expertise. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when if you think about and again, I know you and EJ always kill me for, you know, I'm a Democrat, I'm biased, all that kind of shit like that, right? But you just hear me out on this real quick, right? You think about what happened in Ukraine and our response to it, right? You have Biden as president, and regardless of what you think about his policies, if we should be helping out Ukraine, et cetera, right? But you have a guy who spent 30 something years in the Senate working on the Foreign Relations Committee, has tons of foreign policy experience, served as vice president, and Obama, while he was vice president, because the vice president has no real role in our system of government, the president kind of gives them shit to do. Obama put Biden in charge of a lot of foreign policy shit while he was trying to deal with the recovery and getting healthcare passes, et cetera, et cetera. So you have this guy that has damn near 40, 50 years of straight up foreign policy experience, and then they handle Ukraine in a certain way to rally our allies, to box the Russians in and all this kind of thing like that, to kind of try to make them a pariah. And a lot of people say it worked to a large extent, right? Some people may disagree, but still, you know what I mean? Versus how Trump would be handling this shit, sending out tweets and saying nonsensical shit in the press. One day he might say we're gonna send troops, the next day we're not, the next day we're gonna bomb them, and and shit is just all over the place. And then people will say stuff like, you know, he's keeping them on their toes, and it's like that's not how foreign policy works with people knowing other folks' intentions, because that's how wars start when you don't when you miscalculate. You know, somebody said some shit and they say, well, fuck, well, we can't let them strike first. You know what I mean? So we got to hit first, you know, and next thing you know, you're in World War III or something like that, you know. And so these things matter, you know, and you talk about COVID response and all other kind of shit or whatever. Like government governing is not a game, and a lot of people treat it that way because they think that being president or being governor is easy because they only see the parts of it on TV where, oh, the president showed up at the Boy Scout thing and, you know, gave a speech and took some pictures with the Eagle Scouts or whatever, you know. Like, this shit is easy, I could do that, you know.
Mhm.
But you don't see the part where the president's sitting in the situation room getting briefed on some crazy shit happening in fucking Uzbekistan or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and people act like, you know, they don't understand that kind of. They think it's all just these quick, like, do this, do that, boom, boom, it's done, solved it.
Yeah. Show up on TV, give a speech, stumble over your words, you know, that
Yeah,
type of thing. That's all. That's what being a president is. Um, but yeah. So I mean, all right. So we got Kanye, Trump. We talked about 2024. We want to get back on, make sure we're back on track. Anything else happen? I know that everyone's kind of off for a while now. Senate's off and so on. Um, Anything happened this week politically that's a big deal?
The biggest thing politically happening right now is the runoff in Georgia for the Senate seat between Democrat Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker. Um, that election takes place on December 6th, but they've already started early voting. They started early voting like on, I think, on either Tuesday or Wednesday of this week in Georgia. So that election basically will be over in another like week and a half or so. We'll see what happens there. But one of the big things that happened in that race was that the Secretary of State, who people praised, like, oh, Trump tried to get him to overturn the election and he stood firm, he stood in the breach, like, there's some good Republicans out there, basically tried to not let people have early voting, saying something about how the law says you can't have early voting after a holiday, right? And so because this was Thanksgiving, you can't have early voting on the weekend after the holiday or whatever. But in 2020, they had early voting on December 26th after Christmas, but it's like, oh, a Democrat won. So yeah, we can't be doing that, man. You know what I'm saying? And so it is also why we're having this election on December 6th, because in 2020, when they had the runoff took 8 weeks or whatever. So basically it happened on January 5th was that election day. So they cut the time down to try to cut out, Democrats organizing to try to win that seat again, basically. But anyway, they went to court. The court said no, the law doesn't say that, so you can have early voting on Saturday. They appealed it. The appeals court said no. So the state basically was done. They were like, all right, we're going to do the early voting on the day after Thanksgiving or on Saturday after Thanksgiving, no problem. But the Republican Party came in and sued, saying, no, you can't have early voting on Saturday. Went to the Georgia Supreme Court and they knocked that shit down in a unanimous decision, saying no, the law doesn't say that. They can have early voting on Saturday. So they had early voting this weekend, and then throughout however long their law, so they can have early voting. But that's basically the biggest thing happening politically right now is what's going to happen in that Georgia Senate seat. It won't change the balance of power in the Senate. The Democrats already have won control of the Senate, but that seat is very important because it makes the Senate run differently. And I'll just explain that really quickly, and then we can kind of get off politics. Is that right now the Senate is 50-50, right? So under the rules, they operate everything evenly, right? So all the committees are split 50-50. So if you have a committee that has 20 senators on it, it's 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats. Everything has to go up for votes. So when things come up for votes, if the Republicans don't like it, they can say they all vote no, all Democrats vote yes. You have a tie vote and it doesn't advance out of committee. The Democrats can still move that thing to the Senate floor, but it's another process they have to do, which essentially just makes things take longer. And in politics, a lot of time is like the most valuable thing you have. So if you could get if you can get a vote instead of it takes 2 weeks to pass this thing. And to give you a better example, let's just use Ketanji Brown Jackson as an example. Biden nominated her to the Supreme Court. She has her hearing. The Judiciary Committee is split with 18 senators, 9 Democrats, 9 Republicans. All Republicans vote no, all Democrats vote yes. Her nomination doesn't advance through committee. Now Chuck Schumer has to do this maneuvering, this parliamentary maneuver, to pull the nomination from the committee to bring it straight to the floor. But that adds on like another 2 weeks in time. Then they finally bring it to the floor. They got to do all the debates and shit like that. Then they have the vote to cut off debate. Once that's done, then they have to have more debate time, and then they have the actual vote to put her on the Supreme Court. So just from having that tie vote in committee added like 3 weeks to this whole nomination process, right? So if Warnock wins, now the Democrats have an outright majority. It's not 50-50 with a vice president making the tiebreaker. It's basically straight up, they have
51-49.
So now on the committees that are 18 members, instead of 9-9, it'll be 10-8. You see what I'm saying? And then when they want to pass shit, they can just, if all the Republicans vote no, all the Dems vote yes, and then boom, it's done. And so that'll be one of the bigger things, is that it'll speed things up with moving stuff through the Senate.
How does it impact the world that the House is now red?
It depends. So if Democrats were smart, and they're usually not, and I always tell, I always make that political joke where they say I'm not a part of an organized party, I'm a Democrat. So, these Republicans are basically playing Russian roulette with the economy, right? And they're talking about not raising the debt ceiling. If they don't raise the debt ceiling, it won't only be bad for the United States. It'll be terrible for the world economy. It could throw the entire world into recession. Um, um, they're talking about that. They're talking about potentially shutting down the government to try to force Biden to fire his Homeland Security Secretary, as well as build Trump's wall and some other bullshit they want or whatever. So to them, it's like they're basically saying elections don't have consequences. So Trump lost. Biden didn't want to do any of this shit, but that's what we want. So you got to do it, or we're going to shut the whole government down. You know.
Mm.
Um. So uh, um, so what the Democrats could do in this lame duck period, is that they could raise the debt ceiling. They could fund the government through like 2025 or some shit like that, or so they could kind of take care of all these things now to box the Republicans out and let them do all the Hunter Biden investigations they want to do and all that other kind of bullshit, and not
Right.
have to worry about the big things like the government being funded and the debt ceiling. Will they do that? I haven't heard any talks about it, so it's kind of like watch this space. But if they don't, things will get very interesting in 2023. But and the problem again with Democrats is like they don't strategize correctly, right? So, as an example, in the '90s when the Republicans shut the government down, um, even though the government is shut down, they can still do certain stuff, right? We know it doesn't fully shut down. You have some essential employees who still work, they don't get paid, and then once the government gets funded, they get back paid, right? So when the Republicans shut the government down, what Clinton did was he said, "Okay, you shut the government down, cool. We shut it all the way down. We're not going to just shut down the national parks. The people who process Social Security checks. This is before direct deposit, remember, right?
Right.
So you know Social Security checks going out." And then the first rolls around, and all those old people were like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" You know what I'm saying? And Clinton was like, "You see Newt Gingrich and all the Republicans in Congress, take that shit to their doorstep." And they were like, "Yo, we got to get this shit back open." Like, because you know why? Old people vote.
Damn,
And
that was under Clinton. That's how
yeah,
long ago that was. Shit.
they vote. And they don't vote every now and then. They vote in every election. And and that shit has consequences. But I don't think Biden is G enough to do that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so
Well, he's 80. He just he trying to make it to 81. he he got a great job. you know, he like shit. How do I make it to 81? And stress ain't the way. Uh, but yeah, man.
and it sucks that like even talking about this shit, like I said earlier, like people think this shit is a game, and even that is kind of talking about it like as a game, like it's a strategy. Like, oh, they shut the government down, stop sending out social security, and that's going to have this political consequence. And this is part of the problem with us as a country, is that we've made our politics so broken that it's essentially treated like a game now. What can I do
Yeah,
to get an advantage over my opponent, instead of what policies can we pass to make life better for the people in our country?
yeah. The division is crazy. It's when you have that level of division at a leadership level, if you will, because that's ultimately what the government is, right? They're leaders of our democracy, and the people that support them are seeing the people they look up to act a certain way, and that's why even as you trickle down, you see the amount of hate and just bullshit that you see all over the internet. It's crazy. It's wild, man. Um, well, I hope whatever it takes, this shit gets sorted out somehow because yeah, I mean, you see companies are gearing up for this change. You're seeing all these layoffs, right? You had Meta or Facebook did their layoff, and who was the other one? Was it Twitter? Twitter did a big layoff. So you know, we'll see. We'll see what it's going to look like in the next year or so. But I tell you, motherfuckers, you better uh, take some of that money and put it aside. Stop spending it on bullshit. Um, so the next thing outside of politics that I think is good to chat about is while we wait on VP to get back is a picture that surfaced this year. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Picture surfaced from 1957, which was about 65 years ago, give or take. Jerry Jones was 14 years old, and it was at a high school in Arkansas. Jerry Jones was a one of the young white men in a picture at a school where there were some black individuals trying to protest or stop segregation. And Jerry Jones came out and said he was just being inquisitive. He wasn't there to rally. He wasn't there to hurt anybody. He wasn't there to stop it. He just didn't know what was going on. He was a kid, high school kid, didn't know what was going on, and he was interested in what took place. Um, and that's why he was there. So here we are, fast forward 2022, 80 years old, Jerry Jones. People are basically saying, well, Jerry Jones is a racist. Jerry Jones, how could you support him? My inbox, my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, text messages blowing up. Well, when you think about Jerry Jones and you think about, first of all, can people change? Obviously, everyone changes, from a 14-year-old to an 80-year-old person. At 14 years old, in 1957, you're talking about a guy that was born in 43 in Arkansas. And you question whether or not he was shoveled anything racist, whether he was shoveled information that would make him make some bad decisions as a teenager, as a young child. And then he leads into being an adult, right? And as an adult, he moves into oil in Texas, and then he moves into the ownership of the Dallas Cowboys, where many, many, many ex players, many ex employees of his have come forward and basically said, this guy has helped me out, helped my family out, he's helped my family, in a place where they'll be um, stable, financially stable in the future. He's helped, me with business sense, big business acumen, and just overall support for many ex players and employees of Jerry Jones. So it makes it tough, kind of to get behind the, well, you see this picture and he's racist, you got to cancel Jerry Jones, and that's it's the cancel culture thing that we talk about for years. And you've heard some people that are on the same side that I feel, but you've also heard some people that feel like it's necessary to take action. And one of the most important sayings people that I can recall, or that always comes to me with situations like this is when you forget history, you're bound to repeat it, or something like that. I don't know the exact wording of it, but that's a gist of it. And I don't think when people are seeing things like this, and you say, hey, you got to give this person a break because it's 65 plus years ago, and they may have changed. I don't think there's any thought of forgetting history. But you talk about just the level of time. I mean, for me, it's all about consistency, VP, and I want to get your thoughts on it. The Jerry Jones photo from 1957.
Okay. Let me just first correct something that you said. You said that it was a protest for people like protesting segregation or whatever. It wasn't a protest. His high school, Little Rock, North Little Rock High School, I think is what it's called, was being integrated in 1957, and so those were the people who were showing up to essentially protest the school being integrated by those black students. Now, Jerry Jones says he was just there out of curiosity. He wasn't a part of the protest to try to stop the kids from integrating. And regardless of that, just before we touch on Jerry Jones, but the kids ended up not being able to go to the school, and that school that actually doesn't end up getting integrated until 1964, some 7 years later. Um, as far as Jerry Jones goes, at the time, depending on I don't know what his birthday is. He was either 14 or 15 years old. Um, he says he was there out of curiosity, and I don't know whether or not he's telling the truth or not, but I don't really like his response to it, right? And I don't think that he should get killed 65 years later for something to happen, right? But at the same time, like to just say like, "Oh, I was just there to see what was going on," like that doesn't wash to me, and it's kind of like we were talking about in the chat offline when this thing first happened. Jerry Jones is a white man from Arkansas, right? And you know, is it possible that he grew up with this kind of learned behavior to not like black people, et cetera, et cetera? Sure, right? Is it also possible that he got, as an adult, he learned things, had his mind changed or whatever, and now he is not only a supporter of black people. He also pays them millions of dollars to play for his team and all this kind of things like that. You know what I mean? Both things could be true, but to just like leave it at, it was some shit happening. I just went to see. It was a crowd gathering. I just showed up to see what's going on over here. Like that shit doesn't wash to me, and especially because as time has gone on since this thing first got revealed, like more stuff has come out about it, not particularly about Jerry Jones, but like what was happening at the time. And they got reports showing that like the shit was like all over the media because you have the school that's being integrated. Like that was a huge thing or whatever, right? The football coach, which Jerry Jones was on the football team, told all the players, don't go over that. Do not be involved in this shit at all. I don't want you guys to get in trouble, get cut from the team, do that kind of shit like that. So it's not like a crowd forming. He was like, what's happening over there? And like, oh shit, there's people. Oh wow, check that out. Like he knew this shit was going on. You know what I mean? Where he stood on either side of the line, I don't know. But his answer so far today to me seems like some bullshit.
Got you. But you do agree that people can change and people's
Absolutely.
outlook on certain things.
Absolutely. I said in the chat offline, I'll say it here, Robert Byrd, Democratic senator from West Virginia, was a grand wizard in the KKK, and
Well, let's not just say just because he's a Democrat, he can't be racist.
No, I'm not saying that. The point I'm making is I'm saying that this guy was in the KKK, right? And back in I think in the 30s, I want to say, or 40s or something like that. And this guy later on said, "Look, like I was in the South. Shit was different back then. I fucked up, and he tried to atone for that shit. Did his heart change? I don't know. I don't know what's in his heart. I only can know, what's in his actions, basically. You know what I mean? And so the point that I'm making is that, it's not like people, should be just condemned forever. I mean, some people could, like, I mean, we're talking about like Hitler or some shit, don't get me wrong. But, you know, um, but people change over time, and so I just wish Jerry Jones would just say more to instead of just saying like I was just there out of curiosity, nothing to see here, moving on, But it seems like that's going to essentially be his answer, and because of how the news cycle works, we're probably going to just move on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, you got a still image, and you look at it, and there's not much context behind it. That's the easy way out. Whether he is or he isn't, and I kind of gave my piece on how I feel about it. You can only take what he says and go off of what he said, right? It's different when you see a video. It's different when, similarly, right, you talk about like an MJ versus an R. Kelly, right? Matt, Michael Jackson, accusations, went to court, all this stuff is, whatever. R. Kelly, you got video. Like there's a little bit, there's differences there. So that's kind of how I look at it with Jerry Jones. Take his word for it. I listen to the people that he's impacted, the people that have come to come to bat for him. And to your point, we've seen a lot. We see Joe Biden change, from years past when, videos surfaced where he wasn't for what was it? Where he was kind of against the anti-segregation, whatever, and he's standing on the Congress floor and Senate floor and saying this and that and the third, and now he's changed. I'm here for black people. It happens, right? You learn one thing, and I guess it's a little different for him because he was an adult in those days, but you have a 14-year-old kid again, and I said it already, 14 years old, growing up in the 50s in Arkansas, shy of being Clinton. You probably have been in a situation where you've heard and seen a lot of racism, and kind of been pushed a certain way. So there's that. But yeah, man. So I agree with you. I wish there was a little bit more to it, but realistically, at 80 years old, I'm not going to be able to tell you something about when I was 14 either.
Gotcha. I was sitting here talking and didn't realize I was muted. I just want to correct something I said real quick. Robert Byrd wasn't a Grand Wizard. He was in the KKK, but he wasn't a Grand Wizard.
Grand Wizard is a bit much.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So, I mean, since we're here, let's talk about, Thursday we had, the NFL. We had we talked earlier about the games. Cowboys won. Giants started out pretty hot. Looked like they were going to they're going to win, or they were going to put up a good fight. Started off okay. Cowboys came out, did what they had to do. Mm-hmm. The second game, or the last game of the night, was New England and Minnesota. And Minnesota, kind of, they looked a lot better than they did against the Cowboys, at least. And New England kind of dropped the ball and did some bullshit at the end where they probably had a chance they could have kind of tied the game up or won the game. Of course, young quarterback, undisciplined team, not a lot of talent. I just don't know that Minnesota is the real deal, man. I mean, luckily for them, they're in a division with Detroit, who's not good. I mean, they're good at putting up points and just not good at finishing games. Chicago, who's not a good team, and
Green
Bay, who just looks like shit this year. Because otherwise, they'd be in trouble.
No, I totally agree with you, man. We talked about this last week when we were like, they're 8-1, but they don't look like an 8-1 team. This is before they lost to the Cowboys. So they go into the last week 8-2, and they, they don't look like an 8-2 team. They don't look like, Minnesota's coming. We got to circle that on the schedule. Minnesota's coming up. It looks like, I mean, we got Minnesota. I mean, you obviously not going to look over anybody, any given Sunday, but they don't look like they striking fear in people's hearts. You know what I mean? Like, Minnesota's coming to town, man. We gotta, we can't make no mistakes. All three phases, we gotta we gotta just be rocking. You know what I mean? And you look at that game to the point that you made. You got the Patriots team, not a lot of talent. Quarterback ain't really that good, and they're right there in it into the end. And so you're watching that game thinking, here comes another Patriots comeback. And I actually wanted to talk to you about that game too, about the ending of it, because one of the things that stood out to me was the clock mismanagement by Bill Belichick. And that's something you didn't see during the Brady years, when they let all that time, they let like 10 seconds go off the clock before they took a timeout. And I'm sitting here watching on TV, like, why aren't they taking a timeout here? Like, does he not realize there's only 30 seconds left on the clock? He has all three timeouts. Like, you can't carry him over to next week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm wondering, man, like I know, like, we've had to talk, like, how much is Belichick, how much was Brady, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm wondering, like, has Belichick lost a step, or is he kind of checked out? Like, he don't give a shit anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Belichick is 76, something like that, 73.
I think he's in his 70s. Let me take.
He's up there. And for a guy who's won a lot, and now you think about, you come from being used to, being the 70. Team to be the 70. So the team to be afraid of, the team that you got to watch out for, like you kind of talked about. New England's on my schedule this year. Great, that's a L. To being the it's probably going to be a pushover, and you got to struggle, and you got to teach this young quarterback when to spike the ball. You got to teach him when to call timeouts, and you've kind of had that for years
Mm-hmm.
with Tom Brady, knowing that. I guess you know it's probably not favorable for him. It's just not a favorable situation. And I don't know that I would say checked out because they're in the games. It's not like they're just getting blown out. Um, but we talk about it every week when we say he also went ahead and put a defensive coordinator at offensive coordinator. So like I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And the other thing from the Thanksgiving games is the first game, the Buffalo Detroit. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for Detroit. I want Buffalo to lose. They're in my division,
Hmm.
but you know, Buffalo doesn't look like the juggernaut that they were supposed to be when we started the season. And um, you can talk about the injuries. Like everybody got it's the NFL. Everybody's injured.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing, what makes me mad about the injuries is that I feel like teams, and it's my bias, but the shit is also true, right? It's like other teams can be injured, and that can be the reason for their struggles. But when we have problems, nobody want to hear that shit. It's everybody's it's NFL. Like, come on, dog. Like our secondary is banged up. Only one of our starters who started the season as a starter is playing right now. You know what I mean? In our, or actually two. We our starting safety and our starting DB. Everybody else are all like replacements. Fucking, because the backups, our starters got hurt, and then the backups got hurt. You know, and nobody makes no excuses for our secondary or whatever. But with Buffalo, like, oh, they're banged up in the secondary, and then they had to play 2 games, and it was snowing at the travel. Oh, Miami is hot. It's like, come on, dog. It's the NFL, man. Nobody want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? But they don't look like that juggernaut where it's like, oh, it's either Buffalo or KC, and everybody else is just playing to see where they're gonna finish the season because those two are going to the AFC Championship, and either one of them will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. KC, they still them, but I don't see that in Buffalo no more.
Yeah, it seems like and I kind of feel bad for Detroit because they just can't finish. Pause.
Yeah,
Like these dudes are in game. They're in games. They were in the Cowboys game. They were in the game against the Bills. They've been in a lot of games this
yeah.
year, and
It was
they
a
they
game against
just
us.
yeah, Miami, they just can't find ways to get it done. And I don't know if that's the Jared Goff effect. I don't know if that's the coaching. I just don't know what it is. Their defense is stout. They're getting the job done. They're getting the stops they need, but it just seems like, except for, I mean, in this case, right, they gave up a huge pass to Stephon Diggs, the one guy that you should have eyes on, like, with 26 seconds left, and you
Yeah,
let them throw a fucking right down the middle of the field. Like, come on, man. Like, these are the blunders that make you a 4-8 team, 4-9 team, whatever they are right now.
yeah,
You got to do better at that. When you're a coach, you got to get in there and tell your team or whoever your coordinator is, he fucked that up. He needs to be fired. Like he
yeah,
needs to be held. He needs to be held accountable. Like these are not games. These are not mistakes that are acceptable at
yeah.
this stage of the season. Week 1, week 2, sure. Week 13, 14, not so much.
Right. And to your point, Steve, I think their defense is good enough. Do they have the best defense league? No, right? But they're good enough. Their offense is putting up numbers. And and
Mhm.
and I didn't expect this from their offense to be doing numbers like this. So it's not like the offense isn't giving them a chance to win. The defense they're not stopping anybody, right? But at the same time, though, right? Okay, I get it. The whole game things have been happening, but we need you guys to just put a series together. Detroit scores, they go to TV timeout to do the whole, get set up for the kickoff, all that stuff like that. I don't understand. I mean, I'm sure that these kind of things happen, but it's like this is the time where we're, getting the players together. Yo, 14 can't beat us.
Right.
It's the same shit we see in the NBA, right? Hey, when we come out of this timeout, when they inbound, KD can't get the ball, LeBron can't get the ball, Giannis can't get the ball. If somebody else beats us, we got to live with that. Those motherfuckers can't beat us. You know what
Right.
I mean? And the same shit in the NFL. 14 can't get the ball. We know that's where they're going. Somebody else got to beat us today. You know,
Yeah.
and to let him get a not just it's one thing if he catches like a 7 yard out and get out of bounds or something like that. You can give that kind of shit up. You know, like we see it every week in NFL in close games with not that much time. 30 something yard pass? Like, no, bro.
Right down the middle. Right down the
So
middle. Like, take the chance. At that point, I mean, if he's that open, I'm gonna just hit him early.
yeah.
Like that. That's the type of thing that I'm telling my guys, and that's probably why guys like me, I couldn't be a defensive coordinator. I couldn't be, because I'd be dirty. Like, listen, hold him, take the 5 yards in the first down. There's 26 seconds left.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If he breaks that route and he's got you beat, grab his jersey.
Yep.
Because by the time he gets out of that route, now we got 20 something seconds left, maybe in the teens, and they're only getting 5 yards and not 27 or 32. Like, these are
Right.
just stupid, stupid blunders for, a team that very easily could be in the decision, in the discussion for, NFC playoff when you talk about Detroit.
Right.
Um,
What were your
but
thoughts? Oh,
Buffalo,
sorry.
I was gonna say, but you're right, man. They're not the juggernaut that people think they are. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's one thing when you have an injured secondary and you got some injured guys on the line and stuff, but their franchise quarterback is dealing with an injury. Sure, he looks good. He's got great legs. He's a runner. But when you talk about, does he trust his throws and stuff like that because he's dealing with an elbow injury, or an throwing arm injury? I mean, I do have some, there is some value to that. I wouldn't call it an ability to be excused, but definitely some value that you have to put there to that.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I got you. Um, what was your thoughts on the Zach Wilson situation?
Um, I thought it was well. So I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I know. So
So,
and
so,
I'll
so,
let
so let me set it up for you then.
go
So
ahead.
essentially, what happens is they play the game last week.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is doing their thing. They only give up 3 points for a field goal. The
Mm-hmm.
Jets offense only puts up 3 points as well. The game is essentially 3-3 all the way through the end. And
Mm-hmm.
then the offense can't do anything. They end up punting. And then the
Yep.
Patriots return a punt for a touchdown to,
Yep.
to win the game. Um, in the post game press conference, they ask Zach Wilson if he feels like that the offense, like him and the offense, let the defense down since the defense basically did their thing the whole game and only held to 3 points. If they let the defense down by not generating enough offense to put more points on the board, and he essentially just said no, just like
Mm-hmm.
no, like no context, no explanation, just no, like next question, you know. And a lot of people in the media were pissed off at him, and some of the reports say players in the locker room were pissed because they were like, "What the fuck is wrong with this kid?" Like, they were like, even if you believe that, you don't answer that question that way, just
Mm-hmm.
from a teammate perspective. And then so now they benched him this week.
Gotcha. So, I think there's a lot there with that, right? I think the key piece we always see. The professionals will always take, even when it's not their fault, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it was my fault. I got to play better."
Right.
So that's some selfish, entitled bullshit from Zach Wilson's standpoint. But the piece that's important, I think, here to note is Robert Saleh went to the podium before Zach Wilson,
Mm-hmm.
and Robert Saleh was like, "Zach Wilson's my guy. I'm not benching him next week." Right? So are you enabling this kid to act like this? Are you enabling this kid to have that kind of attitude, throughout the week, weeks over week over week? They're not winning, they're not getting it done. I mean, they won some games this year, but not on his back. They won
Mm-hmm.
the games on the back of the defense in the running game. So are you enabling this kid week over week? You come out of a game like that where it's 3-3 and then, your special teams loses and you're like, no, this is still our guy. Then he goes to the podium and he's like, well, my coach just said that I'm good. So why do I need to take any accountability here? And I'm wondering if that's part of it. I knew he was benched for this week and he's not even dressing. That's the key.
Right.
It's different if he was benched and he was going to be the backup. but he's not even dressing this week. So I just feel like the coaching staff didn't handle that so well. I know you want to give your guys some confidence and stuff, but from that standpoint, you could have said there's a lot of decisions to be made this week. As a staff, we'll get it out as soon as we can, or this is a team situation, we'll deal with it. But for you to come out and be like, nope, this is my guy through and through. We're not moving on. We're not going to move on from him. This is his team to midweek now because you've been pressured by the fans, the media. Now you're benching this guy. I think it's just a nasty situation from the Jets.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, you know, can the kids show more maturity? Absolutely, right? But that's the coach's job and some of the veterans on the team to go to him and say, "Hey, dude, you can't do that." You know what I mean? You got to. This is your team. You're the quarterback. You got to own this shit. You know what I'm saying? And Dan Orlowski said this on ESPN. He was like, when you're the quarterback, he was like, everybody knows quarterbacks get special treatment. They try to act like they don't, but they do. He was
Right.
like, and as a quarterback, you spend a lot of time trying to make your guys believe that you don't believe you get special treatment, And he was like, so when you go on that press conference and they say, hey, what happened on that play when you threw it to so and so? You say, oh, I threw a bad ball. I got to get him a better. Even if the receiver ran the wrong route, I got to get him a better ball. I got to do better. Me, da 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 da. You see coaches go and say, look, man, I got out coach. I got out coach in every phase of the game. I got to do better. I got to get us better prepared. Do that kind of thing like that. That's just a part of leadership. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And for him to just go out there and say, no, it's not on me, that's not good. But that's fixable. The coaches and the veterans on that team can get in his ear and get that corrected. But what do you do to this kid's confidence that you say, the piece that you said about Robert Saleh, I didn't know that. Right. So you go out there and say, nah, he's my guy, it's my man, 20 grand, my ace boom coon, it was all good, boop, boop, boop. And then the media starts going crazy and you say, yeah, we're gonna bench him because I got pressure on Twitter and social media and from ESPN and shit like that. Stephen A. Smith's upset, so I got to sit him down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you're fucking this kid up in his head, and it kind of reminds me of what happened with us with the Dolphins when Flores kept pulling Tua and putting in Fitzpatrick, and people were like, "Yo, what are you doing to this kid? If you keep pulling him, you know what I mean? You got to let him learn this shit or whatever, or it's not gonna work out. You know what I mean?" And it's the same thing here. Like you got to teach him. You can't just pull him and think that he's gonna learn the lesson or whatever.
Yep, exactly. The first person that should have been in there talking to him should have been Joe Flacco. They should have got Joe Flacco and been like, yo, you've been working with this kid all season. This is what we brought you in here for. You need to go talk to him. Like he
Right.
needs to know. He needs to know better for next time.
Right. And I don't know if you remember when I talked about on that year on Hard Knocks when they had the Cleveland Browns when Hugh Jackson was the coach, and Hugh Jackson went to I want to say Teddy Bridgewater, but it wasn't Teddy. It was what's the other dude, the black quarterback?
On the Brown? Oh, Jacoby Brissett?
No, it wasn't Jacoby. It was Tyrod.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor. Okay.
Yeah. And on one episode they show Tyrod. Tyrod gets to the facility during camp. He gets there 5 a.m. because he shows up, he watches film, gets in a little workout or whatever, and then by the time he's done doing his shit, then now the team is showing up. But coaches, they're the same way. So he get there 5, it's 5:30, 5:45, the head coach showing up. Tyrod already in the building. You know what I mean? He already done watched an hour of film. You know what I mean? And Hugh Grant goes to him and say, hey, I see you here every morning at 5 a.m. What's up with your boy 6? Meaning Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, yeah.
And he basically told Tyrod, like, you need to talk to this motherfucker. Like, he's the franchise QB. Not today, but we drafted him number 1. That's what it's gonna be. Like, if you were here at 5, he should be here at 4:30. Shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so, but that's just a part of leadership, and it don't seem like they're doing that in the Jets organization, and especially given the fact that you have a guy like a Joe Flacco who's a veteran quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played on a real solid organization. You would think he would be in his ear like that, but Joe Flacco may also be saying, well, shit, if his fall is my game, so fuck that dude.
Right. Well, I mean, Flacco's he's done, man. He can.
No, I know. I
He
do.
can hang it up, and if he is thinking like that, he can hang it up.
Yeah.
his his shit is done. Um,
Flacco might be thinking, shit, I got a chance to be the new Fitz Magic. You know, I gotta put these numbers up so I can get signed somewhere.
yeah, yeah, you could get rid of that one right now.
Mhm.
Um, all right, so today, really quick, I'm looking to see if there's any noteworthy games as this thing loads up slowly. OBJ is scheduled to visit the Cowboys on December 5th.
Mhm.
December 5th is an amazing day. It's the greatest day of the year. Um, it's the day that, only the greats, only the smartest and most handsome, dashingly handsome individuals are born. Um, and so he's scheduled to meet with the Cowboys that day. Do you think that that game against the Giants had any impact to the decision that he's going to end up making?
I I don't think that it I think it probably did, but I don't think that it should. I'll answer it that way. If his two teams that he's looking at, I would also assume he's probably still considering going back to the Rams, but I don't
Mhm.
know, from all the media reports, it seemed like it's basically the Giants or the Cowboys. The Giants, they won some games, but they're Minnesota to me, like we talked about earlier. Like they don't look like their record. You know,
Right.
they're doing some stuff, but if you're Odell, right? The To me, the benefit of going to the Giants is, one, the nostalgia. They're the ones who drafted you, that kind of thing like that. The biggest part of your career. Well, I guess I wouldn't say the biggest. You won a Super Bowl now, but that catch was a huge part of his career. That happened there, right? But other than that, it wasn't like a great thing. And I don't think you're gonna do much there as far as like competing wise. Going to the show basically, right?
Right.
The To me, the benefit of going to the Giants is that they don't got a lot, and so you could do some numbers over these little bit of games you're going to play, given that you're coming off injury, to show why you need to get a contract next year.
Hmm.
Whereas if you sign with Dallas, you got a shot of actually doing something. You're not going to get as many targets because CD Lamb is still on the team. You know, uh, um, Tony Pollard is showing his ass, you know. So you're not gonna eat like crazy, but you got a chance of getting another ring. And it's not like your career never happened. It's not like you're a rookie and tore your ACL and people are like, I don't know about this guy. We only got this college film. You got a whole career to justify you being paid. Are you gonna get Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill numbers? No, you're past that, right? But you can still get a solid contract that should fit somebody of your status and have a chance at getting another ring.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, if I'm Odell, I don't think the Giants would have ever really been in consideration for me, and ultimately, I don't. Being completely honest, I don't think it ever was. I think it sounds good. I think it's good to put out there. It's good for news. It's good for media, right? If I'm Odell's media person, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, say the Giants. You want to be in New York media. What other media do you want to be in when you want talking about you in the middle of a sports season,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have a team that's getting extreme hype and they're not as good as what they really what their record says.
Right.
But hey, it's New York media, so take it. Say the Cowboys. Dallas is always going to be a top first take. Skip Bayless's show. Every show opens up talking about the Cowboys
Right.
just because it's a moneymaker. Whether they're good or bad, whether you like them or dislike them, they're the Floyd Mayweather of the football of the NFL. You either
I
want
don't
to see
like it,
them
but I can
win,
agree with that.
right? I love them, or I love to hate them.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm gonna get your name out there. Um, but then you have the Bills, right? And the Bills are a team. Von Miller's been calling for Odell, like, yo, come back here. Diggs even at one point was like, it'd be great to be on the other side, have him on the other side. You got that organization who was the favorite, but you're coming off of a knee injury 2 in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to go try and play in that weather is really, really tough.
Yeah.
And when you look at the division, now it's looking like it might go through Miami. So, do I really want to go to the Bills? How good of a shot do I really have at winning if I go there? Um, still a shot, maybe not the shot.
Right.
But if I'm Odell, I'm thinking Kansas City, I'm thinking Dallas are probably my two real choices. Because if you can go to Kansas City, they have a bunch of guys like Juju Smith, Schuster, Mecole Hardman. Kadarius Toney just went over there. He's hurt again, hamstring. Like, you can go over there. You have a quarterback that is going to make throws to you
Mm-hmm.
at some way. They're always going to, people are always going to double up or triple up Travis Kelsey. So on the outside, even if you've lost a step, you can probably beat some of the young corners that you're going to be matched up against.
Right.
And on top of it, you have a quarterback who don't give a shit because he knows he can get it back on next down. He's going to throw it your way.
Mm-hmm.
So Kansas City would probably be on my list if I was Odell.
And
Uh,
if you're Odell with KC, to your point, real quick, you got Kelsey out there, so Kelsey's going to come in and double team. And scheme wise, they could play you out of the slot. You don't got to be on the other side. You don't got to
mhm.
be the number one receiver. You play out of the slot and not have to worry about getting jammed so much at the line and all these kind of things like that. The kind of shit that got you hurt, essentially.
Yeah.
And play a little bit more freer against the third DB, basically. You know what I mean? And do your number still and still have a chance to get a ring.
Yeah. I would say if I was him, right, I would think Kansas City. Also, as much as we say it's not a great team and it doesn't look like the real deal, I would consider Minnesota because, to your point, they can put him in the slot. They have a running back; they're just not using him. They're
Mm-hmm.
making it seem like Kirk Cousins is the guy. But you got Jefferson on the other side. You got Adam
Beast.
Thielen, and he can run out of the slot. So and they're the clear cut winner of their division. There's no
Mm-hmm.
question that they're going to win that division this year. So at least I know I'm making it to the playoffs. I'm going to have a first round home game, and there's a good chance. In the NFC, which is fairly weak for the most part. Why not? So it would, for me, those are the three teams. If I was him, I'd be looking at would be Kansas City, Cowboys. And if I'm really talking, I mean, even my fan heart says the Cowboys, but even if I wasn't a Cowboys fan, it only makes sense. And we've talked about it already on 2 consecutive episodes, and I think everyone on in the news is talking about it. It only makes sense for this guy to go there. More talents, the best defense in the league. Like you got wide receivers galore. You got 2 good running backs. You got a good tight end. Like, why wouldn't I go take a chance here and try to be better when you have to double a CD Lamb, when you have to be accountable? The safeties have to be accountable for the run. I should be able to eat in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to take all of those throws that are going to Dalton Schultz, or at least 50-60% of those easily if I come out of the slot, if
Yeah.
I'm Odell. So it would make sense. It would look good, but it's also, it's Odell, right? And so who knows what that decision is going to look like.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I think all three of your choices are solid. The reasoning is solid, and it might just be one of those things, like you said, where it's like they're the Giants, they play out of New York, the New York media. So just for the hype train, include them, and maybe they're not really under consideration, like seriously, But
mm-hmm. Yep.
I think those are three solid choices, and I agree with the reasoning on all of them. So I think, we'll see what happens, but you know, um, I'm assuming he's probably going to make a choice. I would say probably probably next week, because I mean we're already in week 12 here.
Right.
So he got to get himself into game shape basically to go into the playoffs with whoever he decides to go to. So I'm assuming he's gonna have to make a decision like this coming week so he can be ready. He probably won't even play week 13. It'll probably be week 14. They let him come out
Yep.
and try to get ready.
Yep. So I just pulled up NFL.com to see what games are on this week, and also
Yeah.
really quick, what it popped up. It said Giants, Cowboys, Bills are the 3 that he's visiting.
Okay.
So that kind of puts us where halfway of what we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the
Um,
schedule, man. It's not really.
no,
I mean, it's Rams, Chiefs, really.
that's
maybe
really it.
maybe Packers, Eagles. It's not.
Yeah,
It's gonna.
Packers Eagles is an important game. It's a night game.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I call it important, of course, obviously, is the NFC. But you got Minnesota's already won. Cowboys have already won, so the pressure is on Philly to win this game.
Right.
Even though they've beat both teams, they still have to play Dallas once again throughout the remainder of the season. Minnesota's still going to kind of be breathing down their necks a little bit. It's an NFC team, so it's not like they would be losing to Kansas City or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you would have a conference loss under your belt if you lose. But also, you know, Aaron Rodgers is a prick. I'll never not say that, but he's coming off a bye, and it's going to be a primetime game, and this guy's been talked about in the media really bad for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So if he's going to be, if you're saying his thumb was injured and it's getting better, it's gotten better, coming off a bye, prime time, there's no better situation for me if I'm Aaron Rodgers to go out there and be like, yo, I have not lost a step. I'm still Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, man. And kind of to the point that we made about Minnesota and for the Giants, the Eagles look good, right? They've only lost one game, so you got to give them their respect. But sometimes they don't seem like what are they, 9-1, 10-1,
Nine
whatever
and
the
one.
record is.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem like a 9-1 team like some of these games and I get it. Like, you're not going to dominate every week. Sometimes you got to win some close games, and that kind of helps you, get yourself ready for the playoffs and that kind of thing like that. That kind of pressure, winning in those situations. But to have that situation against the Colts, like, that's not, if they played, Kansas City, the Bills, Miami, Dallas, and it was like a game like that, like a last possession kind of situation to win. It's like, okay, they played a tough opponent. They got through. We expected it to be a close game because both of these teams are, juggernauts, blue, 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 okay, cool. But the Colts, like, and it's not
Yeah.
like the Colts are one of those teams where it's like, like when KC lost to the Colts, people were like, I don't know what it is. KC's had their number the last couple of years. I don't know why. Or like with the Colts, for some reason they can't win in Jacksonville. I don't know. I don't know why. So it's like sometimes that one, and I mean, sometimes the team just has your number. And with the Colts, Jacksonville, they're division rivals, that kind of thing like that. But
Right.
if it was a situation like that, I'm like, okay. But the struggling against the Colts like that, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. They don't look like Kansas City, right? Kansas
Right.
City's 8-2. They look like a well-oiled machine. They look like they're primed for another long playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're not looking like. You have right, tier A, which is probably them. Then you got your B tier, which is you got your Miami's in there, 7-3. I don't know why people are all over Tennessee. They don't look like they're that even that B tier, even though they're 7-3.
I keep saying that.
Baltimore also 7-3, but don't look like a B tier. I would call Buffalo, Dallas B tier teams, right? And I would put Philly in there. I'd say Philly, Buffalo, Dallas, Miami are probably your B tiers. Kansas City is your A tier, and then the chips fall from there. In
Yeah.
my personal opinion, or even Minnesota, you might slide them in the B, but I think they can fall to C tier with Baltimore
I
and
totally agree.
Tennessee.
Like if
So
Minnesota's gonna be on the B tier, I would say they're like how in college like you have like a B minus, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
yeah, they got an 80. They got a 79.5. They just got there. But yeah, so but it's gonna be that's gonna be a big game to watch. I think it's gonna be a good game to watch tonight. Um, Other than that, I think the rest of this week looks like trash. LA,
yeah,
the Rams are 3-7. Las Vegas, Seattle, I think will be a good game, and then also that Chargers Arizona game, I think will also be a good game.
yeah.
Marquise Brown is going to be back. They're saying Kyler Murray hasn't won a game since Warzone 2 came out, Modern Warfare. So there's that. But yeah, interesting week. I don't think we need to spend too much time on picks there.
Yeah, I think also I think your boy's gonna get fired. What's his name? Cliff Kingsbury, whatever, the Arizona head coach. Like, he don't seem like he has command of that team. When I watch Hard
I
Knocks,
know, not
it's
from the way he did like a couple of years ago. It seemed like
right.
they had his back. He had the locker room, younger guy, but yeah, 4-7. Shit, if they fall to 4-8, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
That's a tough one. That's a
yeah.
tough one.
And it looks. I think what makes it look worse is that you pay Kyler Murray all that money. Then you had the whole controversy about the how much he has to study in per week, and then you
Mm-hmm.
redid the contract to get rid of that. And now you're losing, and it's like, yo, like, what are we paying, $235 million for? Like, this shit is
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
So, like, with like Russell Wilson in Denver.
And
So
oh yeah. And it looks like he's still not reading the playbooks.
it definitely
Um,
doesn't.
because
It
he
definitely
looks
doesn't.
he looks like shit. He's fumbling like crazy. Like Kyler looks crazy. He
You
looked
you know what
crazy.
it looks like watching Kyler play? It looks like me playing Madden, right? I look at the plays
Yeah.
and but for me, I'm looking at the one route. If my prime receiver's open, I'm throwing it. If not, I'm gonna try to make some shit
I'm
happen.
running. Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's how he looks out there on the field. It's like, oh,
You're
hops
right.
out there, whoop, out. you
You're
know?
right. You're absolutely right. Um, he's got to play better, man. He's got to do better. Um, what you been watching, man? I've been watching a lot of shit lately. I
For me,
still didn't see Black Panther, so there's that.
me either. They went and saw it. They went and saw it yesterday, the kids. But I told you in the pre-production, my wife had eye surgery and stuff, so she's still having some trouble with her vision. So I didn't want to go see it if she couldn't see it. So like when we watch TV, sometimes like the shows we watch together, I kind of like narrate the show to her. Like she can hear it, but I kind of like so and so looks like you got me fucked up. Just kind of let her see because sometimes it's not just the words. You know what I mean? That the people
Yeah.
say. So I try to do that for her when we watch TV, and I couldn't do that in a movie theater because you can't talk and shit like that.
Right.
So I decided I'll wait. If it's out of theaters by the time her vision gets better, I'll just wait for it to come on Disney Plus, and then we can watch it together or whatever. Um, but as far as TV, I still been watching that show, The Peripheral, the Amazon show.
Mm.
Episode 7 came out on Friday. Um, they're still super British, but more we're learning a little bit more that some of the plot is being revealed a little bit more, so things are kind of coming up to that, getting ready for the finale joint. You starting to see things build. So that's been going good. I started watching this show, The Universe. Is one, obviously about the universe, is narrated by Morgan Freeman. I'm into that kind of shit, so it's been pretty cool. I've only watched 2 episodes of that, and Morgan Freeman, the classic voice. So,
Yeah.
and
Morgan
then
Free Morgan Freeman makes things good.
right, and then I started this other show on HBO called The Cleaning Lady, and essentially what it's about is this lady. She's an immigrant from Cambodia. She's like a doctor in Cambodia, and her son needs like a bone marrow transplant. So
Yeah.
she comes over to the U.S. illegally, so she can't be a doctor here and stuff. And she's like works for like a cleaning company out in Vegas, and she's cleaning this one place, and like some mob guys do some shit there, and she sees it, and so they get her to clean it up, like clean up the blood and shit like that, and then they basically start using her to do their cleaning. But the way that the show, like when I read about it, it seemed like the way that I read it was like, oh, she was, all that stuff I said about her being a doctor, and then she's a cleaning lady. So I'm thinking she's gonna do the cleaning job, and then eventually kind of become like the mob guy's doctor. You know what I mean? Like when somebody gets shot, they call her to fix it, kind of thing. And
Right.
that's not what's happening or whatever. Like it's been good enough to keep me watching, but like if I missed a couple of weeks and not never put it on again, I wouldn't miss it. Like, oh, let me see what happened in that show.
Right.
So yeah. But other than that, that's basically what I've been watching. And then normal shit that comes on TV, Survivor, that kind of thing like that.
Your regulars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I
What
watched
about you?
I watched a few things. So I started watching Wednesday on Netflix, which is the Wednesday Adams show.
I hadn't even heard of that.
Yeah, so it's a show based on Wednesday Adams. It's
Put that on
eight
put that on my
eight
list.
episodes. They're doing really well with it. It's only 8 episodes. I'm about four episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty damn good, man. It's pretty damn good. I like it. She's basically off at a boarding school. and the boarding school is for like individuals with unique individuals, we'll call it unique children or
Okay.
kids. And there's just a lot going on. You'd have to really watch. There's people popping up dead and getting killed, and like you have to watch it. It's good. I don't want to give too much or give anything that's gonna give anything away on it.
I just put it on the list.
But it's a must watch. I mean, it was number one on Netflix as soon as it hit. People have been loving it. I watched. Damn it, man! I gotta pull my joint up because I've been watching so much stuff. That I'm forgetting. I know I'm forgetting something. I started watching that show from scratch. I think I did. I say that last week. It's also on Netflix. Another show on Netflix.
Like a
And it
cooking
was
show or something?
no, it's no. uh,
Oh.
it's I guess it's sort of like a cooking show, but not at all a cooking show. It's the one oh yeah, we talked about it last week because we said Sanaa Lathan, not Sanaa Lathan. Um, I forget her name. We were saying she's 41.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I know you're talking about. I can't remember the name right now, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But we were watching that. But I've been watching that. God, I finished something this week, and for some reason, I was like, man, I got
Was it Zoe Zaldana? I think we were talking about.
yes, yes, Zoe Zeldana. Yep, yep. I finished something this week, and I can't remember what it was, and I was like, man, I got to tell these guys about it. And here's the thing with Netflix, they don't have like how they used to have the watch it again
Yeah.
section. Well, it's not here. It's not here at all. And it's frustrating the shit out of me. Um I'll see if I can find it as we continue to chat. But I started watching a show or a movie. Christmas, it's Christmas time, so
Hmm.
started watching a movie, Falling for Christmas. That was also on Netflix. Looks like it's gonna be pretty good. I fell asleep because I'm old, and that's the type of thing that happens.
It's like 9 o'clock.
Right. Um, damn it, man. I know. Keep talking.
Yeah. I definitely want to start getting on the little Christmas joints or whatever. Like, that I started doing it a couple years back, and it's probably movies I would never ever watch, but it's like, oh, it's Christmas time, let me check this out, and then you watch a little quick hour 45-minute joint, and it's like, okay, that was entertaining, you know. But yeah, those have been fun the last couple years. I've seen some that I actually saw one, the one with the Asian kid where he like catfishes the girl.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I've actually watched that one a couple of times, even though even after Christmas or what, I actually really enjoyed that one. So, yeah, those are fun.
I know what you're talking about. I forgot what it's called, but
Hmm.
the one that I was talking about is on Paramount Plus. And I talked about it in the chat too. Um, it's The King of Tulsa,
Oh, with the Sylvester Stallone joint.
Sylvester Stallone. So there's only 2 episodes so far. Um, both episodes were good. I'm waiting on the third one. It comes out today. It runs on Sundays. New episode every Sunday. But basically, Sylvester Stallone did 25 years in jail. He got out. He was part of the mob, and they kind of sent him to Tulsa to kind of spin up some stuff there, spin the family up there. And there's a whole bunch of shit that comes into play there. And basically, he sleeps with a lady early on, first episode, sleeps with the lady, and turns out she's part of the FBI or ATF rather. Yeah, but he didn't know, like she
Hmm.
didn't know that wasn't, it was just how it all happened and shit.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see how that storyline's gonna run. He also has beef with one of the new younger guys in the mob from New York where they sent him from.
Hmm.
But who's not the captain, but who's I guess the new boss, for the family in New York is the dude from The Wire, the Italian dude, the Italian cop. He's always bald. He's always
Oh,
bald in every
the one
show
who
he's
played
in.
Herc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always bald. But he's got hair in this show. So
Oh,
it looks funny. But it's a good show. Hour-long episodes. I watched the first two, and it looks like it's gonna be really good. This role for Stallone is like a perfect role. I wish he was a little younger, because like he's beating people up and shit, but he's old. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And even in the show, he says he's 75. Like he's playing a 75-year-old character. Um, so it's just, I wish he was a little younger. It would have been, seeing Stallone like that. He
yeah,
missed this role. Like this role being like a mob guy, was made for him. He should have been
yeah,
doing this for years now. So it's just it's a hit so far. So I look forward to seeing how it goes. Hopefully it wasn't just like a strong pilot, and a
yeah.
strong second episode. Sometimes that happens, but if you can get a chance to watch it, check it out.
Okay.
Definitely worth
Yeah.
it. And then there was something else I started on Netflix. I can't find it, but it's not important, so I'll let that one go. But I still got to see Black Panther. I'm pretty upset with myself that I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. I got a dental appointment.
Yeah.
When you
You
go in there, and I got a freaking uh old filling that has to be redone.
mm,
It's not bothering me. It's not like, it's not like a cavity. He's just like, it's old. It's probably gonna crack soon. So, go ahead and do it. And I'm like, all
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
fucking dental
Yeah.
hygienist, man.
They went and saw Black Panther yesterday, like I was saying, and when they came home, I was like, "How's the movie?" It was like, "Oh, it was good." And then, or TJ did his normal like teenager shit. It was all right, and he
Mm.
was like, "That's not true." He was like, "It was actually really good," and he was like, "I like how what they did with the child." I was like, "No, no, 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 no."
Oh
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
he was like, "Oh my bad." I was
yeah. What are you doing? Go to your room. You grounded, nigga. You
like,
grounded.
I was like, I'm trying to stay away
Uh,
from the spoilers. I've been like anything Black Panther related, like I on Twitter, I see it trending, I just scroll right past that shit. I'm like, I'm trying to stay away from it. I wanna be as blind as possible when I finally do get to see it.
yeah,
So
that's kind of how I've been with it. And the only thing I've seen recently was a commercial.
mm,
Um, as soon as I saw it, I changed it, and then I heard somebody say funeral, and I'm like, motherfucker.
mm,
So I know something, right?
yeah,
But that's it. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll try to make some time tomorrow or something, because the further we get away from it, the more chance of it being spoiled.
yeah,
But Christmas season is here. I look forward to all the Christmas movies. Like, the thing about Christmas movies is they don't even have to be good when it's Christmas season for me. Like, and I don't even have to recognize characters. Like,
hmm
just the whole seeing the season on TV. I could turn on a channel and it could be some bullshit Hallmark Christmas movie, and I'll watch the shit just because I guess I just love Christmas, man.
yeah. You know what? I actually did watch something else. I watched that movie Spirited with
I saw that.
Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, actually, it's a musical, and I don't really like musicals, but it's okay. It's not
I fell
terrible.
I fell asleep on it.
Yeah,
It was when I'm like, oh, like at first I thought it was just starting as a musical, and then it kept on, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know
yeah.
if I can
It
do
it
this.
goes it goes throughout, man. The singing and stuff like that. But it's kind of you kind of like the ending. I feel like you're not gonna be surprised at how it ends. You kind of can see it coming. But overall, it was still a decent movie. Or I liked it, and I felt like Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell played good off each other in that too. So and
Yeah, I
then
think that those are two good personalities to put together.
yeah, and then one thing I did like was I don't know if you made it to the Get Afternoon part. I don't know if did you get that far?
Mm-mm.
So they do I'm not gonna try to give too much away, but they do a thing where because it's based on like Scrooge, where Christmas past, Christmas present, Christmas future, or
Yeah,
whatever. And so they're trying to take Ryan Reynolds through it, and it's not working. So Will Ferrell decides to take him back to when he apparently was Scrooge back in the 1800s or whatever, and he's talking to this kid who's trying to like sell him something or whatever, and he's like, I don't want any of that stuff. Now, good afternoon, and people are looking around or whatever, and they're like, how dare you talk to that child like that? And so Ryan Reynolds is like, why are people getting all bent out of shape? Like, I didn't hear anything. He was like, oh, back then, Good Afternoon was a pretty sick burn. And so like throughout the rest of the movie, like anytime somebody says good afternoon, like Will Ferrell gets like triggered and shit, like, what the fuck did you say to me? Like,
Yeah.
so I like, and then it's the song is like really catchy when they do the good afternoon song or whatever. So it gets kind of like stuck in your head a little bit. But that was a really good part of the movie.
Yeah, I got to the point where they identified Will Ferrell, and like the other guy was pushing back, like, no, or not Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, he's not the kind that we do, blah 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 blah. And then I guess that's where I dozed off. So
Yeah, that was right at the beginning then.
yeah, so Dunzo there. I didn't get to see
Mm-hmm.
too much of it, but I'll probably watch it. It was
Yeah,
just the singing was like, I got to be in the mood for this,
yeah,
definitely.
I agree.
Um, what else? What else? Anything else going on? Check my notes here.
Did you did you see? I don't know when this happened, but I was looking on my Twitter and somebody posted a video of I think it was Chloe. It was the Kardashians. I don't know if it was Chloe or Courtney, whichever one. Oh, it was three of them there. It was Chloe, Courtney, and Kim, and whichever one of the two, who I'm not sure whether it was Chloe or Courtney, like slapped the shit out of Kim. They got in a fight in the house or whatever. And somebody was like, God damn, like she.
Oh, I think that's from a couple of years ago, though.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I saw it posted yesterday, so I was like, shit.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the Kardashians, man.
apparently, apparently, I'm not keeping up. So
You got to do a better job, man.
right.
Yeah, man. They kind of been well. So that's the other part. Since you talked about Kardashians, we talked about Kanye earlier. Did you see? And it was probably on your Twitter feed too. Did you see that? There were employees at Adidas that were saying that Kanye was, kind of walking through, showing the employees naked pictures of Kim.
So I heard about that, but I heard it was Kanye showing the thing. I didn't read the story. I just read the headline, and it was like he was going through Adidas showing the employees porn. I didn't know it was supposedly of Kim.
Pictures of Kim.
Oh wow,
Yep, and Adidas is launching an investigation on it, so that's going to be
wow,
interesting. hmm This dude, yo, I don't. You
yeah,
just stepping on his own dick.
yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't get it. I keep saying it, man. You know, the dude, he needs help, man. He needs help, and he's not gonna get it from his circle because they are where they are because of him. So it's not like they can be
hmm
like, nah, man, you should talk to somebody. You think I'm crazy? Nah, man, you're a genius. Crazy
right.
guy. Come on, man.
Oh,
Nah.
you good? Yeah.
So he needs help, man. And I don't think he has any brothers or sisters. I think he's the only child, right? So it's not
I,
like
I
it's not
believe
like
so.
there's a brother or a sister who can be like, yo, man, we need to talk. Like, hey, listen, and I don't know how close he is to the rest of the family besides because I know he made that one song about how the cousins and shit used to be trying to get at him for money and all that kind of, you know what I mean?
hmm
So I don't know what the relationship is there, but somebody needs to stage an intervention or something, man. This dude, he needs help.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone left because you burn your
Yeah.
bridges, you associate yourself with, the wrong people. It's one thing, when you associate yourself with, drug dealer. Like when we think about the everyday, people associate themselves with drug dealers
Hmm.
and thugs.
Yeah.
But when you're out there running around with racists and I don't know, man. Nobody wants to be a part of that. Nobody wants to help out with that, and
Right.
rightfully so.
And I feel like like the stuff that we're watching today, you know, I feel like in 20 years, Netflix, Hulu, whatever the service is in that point, TJ or Ash gonna be like, "Oh, I got this new thing on Netflix called Yay." The
Mm-hmm.
6-part episode, the downfall of Yay, and like, yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
Like I watched it
exactly.
live,
Right.
but it feels like you're kind of like you're seeing these stories, like you just brought up the Adidas thing with Kim, and earlier we talked about him, hanging out with Nick Fuentes and all this Trump shit and stuff like that. And I feel like, when this thing happens in 20 years or whatever, you're gonna be like, man, in episode 3, they're talking about something with his ex-wife showing pictures, like, oh yeah, I remember that story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so
Here, let me tell you about it.
right. It's crazy, yo. Like, hey Ash, you ever heard of Ray J?
Right.
Like,
He did it first. Yeah, man. Ray J ass crazy too, man. That motherfucker. Yeah, I tell you, the money makes people
yeah.
do some wild ass shit.
hmm and it's kind of, it's like they always say, when you get into, like, big business and big institutions and things like that, you got to kind of have your morals and your principles before you get there, because they're gonna ask you to do something that goes against your code. And so if you don't have one, you're gonna do it, right? And I think the same thing can be said about money. You got to kind of have your morals and your principles and those kind of things before you reach that level of success, because if you don't, you're gonna, it's gonna make you into a different person, and shit. And maybe it didn't make him into a different person. Maybe it just revealed who he was the whole time. Who knows? But the dude needs help, man. He needs help.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a matter of bringing it out of people, man. And
Yeah,
sometimes money will do it. Maybe that's why I can't hit the fucking Powerball.
yeah. And Judy's right in the chat. She said the folks around him basically watching him crash and burn. That's absolutely correct, man.
Hmm.
It's absolutely correct.
People are
The dude
always
needs
gonna
help.
people are always gonna be there for you when there's something for you to offer.
Yeah.
When you can't offer anymore, they're not there, and that's yeah. I think that's kind of where he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So and not only that, but you also have people who are on the back end of it that are like, oh, but he's still Kanye, so he can. There's still an opportunity for me here in some way.
Yeah.
So that you know it's fucked up because he's got really good music, and you just hope that he doesn't get to the point where he says or does something so obscene that it's like an R. Kelly, where you're like, I can't even go back to his music anymore. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I'm sure there's some people that have already reached that point, but there's you just hope it doesn't get to that point at all, because it's still really really good music that should be
Yeah.
around for a long time.
Yeah. And maybe I don't, maybe part of the answer is, I remember people used to kill Beyonce, like when she would be in, like, she would do interviews and they would ask her about like her personal life. She's like, I don't talk about my personal life like that. And she kind of, you talking to Beyonce, the artist, and let's stick to the music. Oh, the show was great. It was great seeing the fans. I love them so much. Blue, 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 all that kind of shit. And then she has this whole other life that is not on social media. It's not, in the magazines and the reality shows and all that kind of thing like that. And maybe, you know, as far as I know, she seems to be sane and just, having a good time, kind of, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
and I don't know if she has any personal struggles or whatever, but that's kind of the point of what I'm saying, right? And maybe that's the way to do it, to keep yourself somewhat grounded, is to keep things separated. When I'm at the show, Beyonce, and I'm, doing this crazy thing, crazy in love with Jay-Z, all that kind of shit like that. And then when I'm off stage, I'm just a mom, I'm a wife, I'm running a business, whatever. And I'm not out here looking for clicks and likes and all that kind of shit like that, because I got this whole other life, and maybe that's something that artists could look at to kind of keep themselves more grounded, I guess,
You're right. You're right. But also, I think the labels, right? These record labels and stuff, they need to take accountability for some of this shit too, and they need to set these artists. These Some of these kids are coming in super super young. When you think about music, right? Think about when we were kids. We're only 40 now, right?
hmm
So think about 30 years ago when you there was when the radio turned on, there wasn't much music for kids,
Hmm.
right? It was when even when we were 13, 14 years old, unless you were really into music, you weren't like checking for music. You know, you might listen to mixtapes, you might have, you had your favorite artist, whatever, but it wasn't targeting kids. It wasn't targeting, teenagers and young kids. You had back in those days, it was the OG music, the
Hmm.
Commodores, Lionel Richie, like that
Right,
was the
Marvin
music that
Gaye, all this stuff.
Marvin Gaye that was on the radio, and so now we're talking about 30 years, just 30 years removed from that, and these it's 14-year olds, even some of them are 15, 16 making music. So
Hmm.
um you know you- I think these labels, they're taking advantage of black talent, and they're not giving back in the way of like companies give out EAP. They set you up with individuals who can have those financial conversations with you, so you're not out there fucking buying Birkin bags for OnlyFans models.
Right.
Like, listen, 6 months from now you could be broke. You
Yeah.
need to cherish this shit. And someone needs to have those conversations, and whether it's the OGs or whether it's, I think it's response should be responsibility of the labels and the managers to kind of set this type of thing up, because we're just seeing it more and more.
Yeah. And and part of it too might be, Steve, like when you talk about it from the label standpoint, is that I think a lot of those people think that they're getting the best out of these artists when they're fucked up, when they're tragic, like think
Yeah.
about I want to say it was the I believe it was the Ray movie when Jamie Foxx played
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, and they were like still giving him the drugs and shit so he can like trying to get him to keep using the heroin so he can make music and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I wonder if part of that is the labels like kind of keeping them in this cycle, thinking that oh, it's the genius of their music comes out of the tragedy of their life. You know what I mean? And that's just not good for people to be in that kind of headspace for long periods of time, man. And it's why I keep saying that, going back to Kanye, is that the dude just he needs help, man. He needs to talk to somebody. Whether it's medication, whether it's just counseling, both, whatever it is, he needs help, man.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. You're probably right. There's an opportunity, capitalize on it while you can.
Yeah. And it seems like that's what the people around him are doing, whether it's the people in his circle, whether it's the people at a label, or and people who are in business with him in general. Instead of just saying, look, dude, we want to work with you, man, but we think you should, why don't you take 6 months, take a sabbatical, go get some help, and
Mm-hmm.
even if it ain't a psychologist, because he talks about being very religious now, so maybe you can go and talk to your pastor, or you know something, what I mean, like, but the stuff he's doing now is not, it's not working, man,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And like I said, man, you feel for people like that, because he clearly has, he's clearly got challenges. He's got demons. He's not mentally all there, and it's scary to know that, right? If you look at his past history, he always looked like he was fairly okay. He was wrapped up pretty tight,
Hmm.
and I feel bad for the people that didn't have or don't have the exposure to a Rockefeller or a Jay-Z like he had, right? If he had gone on any other label and may not have been associated with that kind of those type of greats, him and Dame Dash, and that kind of exposure, where would he be today? It could have been
Hmm.
even worse. When you watch his documentaries, he was kind of loose back then, but not as bad. And I think it was because he had them reeling him in. But these kids nowadays don't have that. They, that's why they're out here putting themselves in situations where you constantly see them getting shot or turning
Hmm.
up on videos in bad situations, fights and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
you just hope. I just hope for the best for the future for these kids, man.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Um, I think that's all. That's all I got for this week.
Yeah.
You got anything else that you think we need to prioritize and touch on?
Nah, man.
Pause.
I, I think we're good, man. I hope, just going back to sports real quick. I hope that like folks on Dolphins Twitter have been trying to like make sure people even when they do the player introductions, they don't want them to boo Laramie Tunsil. They're like, he needs to get a big round of applause when he gets introduced today.
Oh no, they gonna boo him. They gonna boo him. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and without further ado, hand it over to you to get us up out of here. Then.
All right. So everybody who we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us this week as we record another episode of the Castworthy podcast. For the folks who tuned in live, we definitely appreciate you taking that time out of your Sunday morning. And for the folks who will listen once the episode posts, we appreciate your time as well. And actually, before I continue, let me back up a second. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, spending time with your friends and family. Recharging your batteries, and I hope that you really enjoyed the time and it really fulfilled you. I was definitely glad to do it with mine. And again, like I said earlier, appreciate you guys listening. You can find our podcast on all podcasting platforms. Just search Castworthy. You can also find us on social media by searching Castworthy. If you look for us on Instagram, however, it is at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can definitely leave us a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We definitely would appreciate it. And to EJ, wherever he is, hope that everything is well. We hope that you'll be joining the podcast at some point in the future, TBD. But I guess we'll see you when we can. But with that being said, man, again, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us. And as we've been telling y'all week after week after week, especially in the holiday times, don't forget to make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to somebody, let them know that you're thinking about them, let them know that they own your heart. They'll appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure you'll appreciate it too. Tomorrow's promised nobody, so definitely take some time to reach out to your folks, your friends, your family, etc. Just let them know that they're loved and that they're being thought about. I hope that you guys enjoy your week. Hope that is a good one, and hope that you enjoy your holiday season as well. And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Castworthy podcast. Hopefully, we got a 3-man crew, but we'll see what happens. TBD. And until then, we'll catch you guys next time. We out. We love you. Peace.